Hello again and welcome, my dear friends. I'm Ryan Campbell. I'm your host for the conversation today. I'm joined by Trinity Abila. Trinity, you are the CEO for Habitat for Humanity in Tuolumne County. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
What is Habitat for Humanity? How did it get started? I think a lot of people have kind of an idea of what it is, but can you kind of explain it for somebody that's never heard of what for Humanity is?
Absolutely. Habitat for Humanity actually has been around as a whole since 1976. And although many people ask, and I'm sure you're going to ask me too,
Jimmy Carter?
absolutely not. Although the
What?
Carters,
Well, he's very
very influential.
associated with Habitat.
Absolutely.
That's usually the
Very
first thing.
influential.
As the old peanut farmer,
It was his passion,
Yeah.
but he was not the founder of Habitat.
Okay.
Habitat was founded on a little farm called Koinonia, and it was about the community coming together and being able to make a difference and provide housing together.
Mhm.
And that grew out of Atlanta, Georgia, and it grew worldwide. Habitat is worldwide now. Here in California, Habitat is divided by counties.
Mhm.
And so we are Habitat for Humanity of Tuolumne County.
That's
And we've been established since 1999 here in Tuolumne County.
And how long have you been the CEO for Habitat?
10 years. This is my 10th year.
Wow. So you've seen a lot of changes and a lot of progress in that time, right?
Absolutely. We've huge changes and leaps and bounds in
Yeah.
the last 10 years.
What are some of the responsibilities that you have for Habitat? Are you out there swinging hammers and pounding nails, or?
Absolutely. I think although I'm CEO of Habitat for Humanity, I wear a lot of different hats.
Mhm.
My background actually is in construction. I'm a second generation contractor.
Wow.
So
This fits right in for you.
it fits right in.
Yeah.
So in that capacity, there's nothing that I don't do. So I can go out there and swing a hammer with you. I can help you to build. Um, Being a nonprofit with limited budget, because we're community funded, means that you always wear just multiple hats.
Mhm.
So
And,
there's,
and
yeah.
and kind of the idea that I okay, so you addressed the Jimmy Carter thing, but the the idea that I think of when I think of Habitat for Humanity is that you have a family that is in need of housing, and so the whole neighborhood gets together. Everybody, collects tools and materials, and they get together, and maybe there's not as much expertise there, or maybe there is somebody in charge, but everybody in the community gets together and they build a house
Mhm.
for that family. Is that how it works, or is it more like you take donations and you hire a contractor? Is that how it started?
It did probably all the way back in the 1970s when Habitat was first established. In California today, it's just not realistic to have everybody go out as a community and build a house,
Mhm.
especially people who don't know how to build a house. So, although we still have that typical habitat experience, we have people who come out and they love to frame and raise a wall, and we get the community and volunteers and the home buyers involved in building. In order to meet today's standards, we do use contractors. And so the contractor, we have a licensed contractor that actually does everything, pours the foundation, builds the main structure, the main envelope of the home. And then we also have our crews that come in and do a lot of the finished work. So we are all about getting people out of substandard housing. So we just need to be careful when we have people building a habitat house out of all volunteers
Mhm.
that we're not putting people back into substandard housing.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, if you came out on the job site, do you feel confident if I handed you a bunch of construction things to be able to build a house? Do you want to live in a house built solely by volunteers?
I know a couple of things, but
Okay.
I would probably ask for some help if I was building a house from
Would
from a professional.
would you feel comfortable? I say this as a contractor. Um, I need to know that I can sleep at night and put families in homes
Yeah.
and know that the main things like electrical and water are done by professionals because those are the two things that can not only damage the home, but can hurt the people that are inside them.
Mhm.
So it is kind of a misnomer when people have that kind of picture where, yes, the community builds it from ground up. Is it community supported? Absolutely. Could we build habitat homes without the community? No. We have to have it's a partnership between us and the community.
Yeah. How many Habitat homes have you built?
We have currently built over 30 homes here in Tuolumne
Wow.
County. We are
I
still,
didn't know it was that many.
we have that many.
Yeah,
And it's
because
not just,
there's that area outside of Columbia, but it's more than that, I guess.
it is. We have homes in Ponderosa Hills. We have homes out in Tuolumne City.
Wow.
We have one of our home buyers, now homeowner, she actually paid off her mortgage. So we have one person who owns her home straight out. And so we have been the only affordable housing builder in Tuolumne County since I've been here for the last 10 years.
Hmm.
So
And why do you think that is? I mean, you kind of touched on the fact that it is hard to build in California. Everybody's kind of running into that, and I've is it a combination of state regulations and just kind of the way the market is, or what are kind of like the key factors that are making it so hard for just a regular person to say, I've saved up a percentage of my income over an X amount of years, I'm going to build a house. It's pretty much impossible now unless you're independently wealthy to build a house from scratch, or if you unless you get help from a group like Habitat for Humanity. How did we get to this point?
there is no such thing as affordable housing in California. So we're not even building affordable housing. So people ask me that all the time. Are you an affordable housing builder? No, because there is no such thing. The cost to build in California is tremendous. It's ridiculous to some degree to be able to meet some of the regulations that California requires. And in that capacity, I always tell people there just is no such thing. We, even as Habitat for Humanity, although we are watching every single dollar, every single penny, um, the only way that we're able to do it is because the community comes out between grants and what we call gap funding, where we are able to have the community help fill these gaps for how expensive it is to build. Um, there would be no way that we're not building affordably. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
We offer an affordable mortgage and we create a lending package that people can then afford their mortgage. An average mortgage on a Habitat house, which is 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath currently, at about 1,200 square feet. An average mortgage, including homeowners insurance and their taxes, is under $1,000. Brand new home.
Wow.
There's no way you're going to find a rental. There's no way on average that somebody's going to be able to afford one of these homes. The homes typically appraise at about $265,000, but they cost us close to $300,000 to $320,000 to build.
How could that be that they're appraised at a cost that's more than $100,000 less than what it costs to build it?
For us, it's tricky. So if you've been out to Parrots Ferry Village, those are called twin homes. They're not duplexes. They're not, they don't have shared land. So they're considered zero lot line.
Yeah.
So they don't have shared walls. And so those two homes, when they're put together, they have a space that runs down the middle of them. And what's really hard for us here in Tuolumne County is there's no other comparable comps. And we're only allowed to sell the homes at their appraised value per Habitat International's policy. That's how
Okay.
much we sell the homes for. So we get locked kind of in that little conundrum to where we can only sell them at the appraised value, but they can only comp them against us because the homes are so unique. They can't
Yeah.
find another comparison
Huh.
here. So, but on the other hand, we are affordable in the sense that we want to create affordable mortgages.
Right.
So even if they appraise at 265,000, when you look at, we build workforce housing. Our houses, this is a myth, our houses are not free. We don't give them away. People have a mortgage just like you or I as homeowners.
And that makes a good point because if you were a private seller, you would absolutely, you couldn't make it work unless you were selling the house at above what the appraised or what above what the value was to build it.
Habitat is not in the business of making money. We're in the business of providing hope and dignity to people. In fact, yes, we build affordable housing, but what a lot of people don't know that we do is we actually do home repairs. Did you know we do home repairs?
I didn't know that.
We do. So we just
Can
recently
you repair my house?
we can absolutely. So to afford to get a new home from Habitat, Okay, if we're going to build a brand new home, you have to have your income has to be between 40 to 80% of the average median income to qualify for our program. But as we were out there, a lot of people were coming up to us into our office and talking with us, and they needed roof replacement. They needed hot water heaters that were broken. These are actual homeowners, current homeowners, people who own homes here in Tuolumne. Our housing demographic, the current housing that we have the stock here in Tuolumne County, it's aging. It's aging along with us,
Hmm.
right? A lot of it was built in the 60s. We had a big boom here, and then we had another big boom in the 80s here in Tuolumne.
Yeah.
And we really haven't had a big boom since. So we have homes that are 50, 60, 70 years old, plus even 100-year-old homes here in Tuolumne. And we have residents who own them, but they're not able to, on fixed income, they're not able to be able to do the types of repairs that are needed.
Yeah.
And the really unfortunate thing is once you have a leak, if once you have a roof that leaks, or some type of faulty wiring or something that goes wrong, it always creates a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So we were hearing from the community and people in the community that they really needed some help with home repairs. On top of that, as we began to go out, we launched the program, the home repair program in 2020, right before COVID.
Yeah.
So we had to put a halt on it, of course, and then we geared back up in about 2022, 2 years ago.
Okay.
In the last 2 years, we've done more than 60 home repairs
Really?
here in Tuolumne County.
So you have 30 homes
We have
that you've
30
built,
homes,
and then you've done repairs to 60 homes.
and we've repaired 60
Wow.
homes so far in Tuolumne
That's
County.
amazing.
And so what we found as we were going out to look at these repairs and do assessments, we were noticing we had stories of people such as we needed ADA needs, people who just needed ramps, they couldn't get in and out of their homes. We found people that were getting injured going into their bathtubs that we needed to be able to build some accessible, walk-in showers. We were doing more than just hot water heaters, fixing faucets, doing roof repairs. It became really apparent that our demographic here in Tuolumne County is a senior population, right? We have a very large amount of aging population here in Tuolumne County. And so they're on a fixed income. And so we come in and we do the home repair. And what we have currently, Habitat was able to get a grant. So we have grant monies right now. So home repairs are free right now through Habitat because we have a grant, which means people can apply for the program and we'll turn around and it's a completely free program for us to come in and be able to provide the repair.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
if somebody was interested in some of the services that you offer, some of these programs that we've been talking about, what's the best way to get into contact with you or to learn more about those?
Absolutely. Anybody can go on our website, habitattuolumne.org. They can call our office, the administrative office. We also have a store. Have you been in our store?
I've not been in your store. Where's your store?
Our store is right on Mono Way. We're in Upper Sonora, kind of right past Hess.
Oh, I've been there. Oh, yeah. I've been in your store.
Everybody knows it's the old John
Yes.
Sierra Market.
I've been in
Where we are.
Okay.
But you can also get information inside our store.
Yeah.
Our store is important because we're community funded.
Yeah.
That's a way that our store helps with our mission and helps us be able to do what we do.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask you is so, people can go to the website if they're interested in the programs. What if they hear about what you're doing and they want to join in, they want to contribute? What's the best way for them to volunteer or participate in what you're doing?
If you go on our website, there is actually places where it will say if you're interested in volunteering, you can click there and
Yeah.
it will go ahead and lead you to where you want to volunteer. If construction is not your thing, that's okay. There's lots of other places to be able to help at Habitat. And so they can at any time click to volunteer. And of course, I wouldn't be the CEO of Habitat if I didn't say that there's always a place to click and donate. So we could always use, the graciousness of the community to make cash donations as well to make this possible.
Yeah. And the thing that I've learned more and more every year is we live in an extremely generous, extremely community focused county. And it's just something that's just impressed me so much. And Habitat is like a perfect example of how You sort of bring a lot of different skills and a lot of different abilities together to make something really beautiful.
And we make it happen.
Yeah. What's something that would surprise somebody to hear about what you do or what Habitat for Humanity does? What's something that people wouldn't normally think of?
I don't think people know that we're a Christian organization.
Mhm.
I think that often surprises people. I think that's the root of who we are. So when I told you earlier that although people see us doing housing and think of us as construction, our real focus is actually the people. So Habitat for Humanity, its first mission principle is actually to demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ to people.
Oh,
And we do that by our actions. We do it by how we treat the people who come across our threshold, how we care for people in our community, how we walk into some homes that are really heart-wrenching to go into, and we interact with people that have really no hope. They've lost their sense of hope. They've lost their sense of dignity. These are people who were, I'll give you an example. We did a home repair of it for a husband and a wife, and he was one of our local loggers. I mean, that's our industry here, right? Is logging. And he ended up becoming diabetic and he wasn't able to walk. And there's no other entity besides Habitat that's currently with our home repair program working on mobile homes.
mhm.
And him and his wife fell outside their mobile home because they couldn't navigate the steps. And they laid in the driveway calling for help, and it took a while. Her purse flung and her cell phone went off, and she could not reach her cell phone. And they laid in their driveway calling for help for like 30 minutes until somebody
Oh my
came to
God.
help them up. And it was something simple as a ramp. And being able to have a ramp to where he felt that he could be mobile and get in and out of his door and go up and down a ramp really brought a sense of dignity
Yeah.
and hope back into his life. It's little things that we don't think about. We don't think about whether we can step in and out of the shower. We don't
Right.
think about what it would be like not to have hot water
Well,
every day.
it's almost like you're trapped in your own home if you don't feel secure walking up and down the
Absolutely.
stairs. You're not going to go out as much. You're not going to engage with your community as much, and it just kind of has that spiraling effect
It
on
does.
people.
And it makes people feel discouraged.
Yeah.
And that's really probably what people don't realize is that Habitat is, we're all about people and the heart of people. And that I think is those places where, whether we're putting people in new homes, because we have a lot of people who are living in substandard housing, we have, families, mom and dad, who are working really hard, trying to take care of their kids, but they're in an overinflated rental that has mold problems, or we've had people that we pulled out of homes had ivy growing in their homes that they've had to hack back, and the landlords won't do anything, and the rental prices are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they feel discouraged coming home every day. We put them into a Habitat house. Now, when they come home every day, there's a sense of pride and there's a sense of ownership, and that reflects onto the kids who do better in school. It reflects on everybody's health. So people show up to work, the kids are showing up to school. And so it changes future generations if we can provide housing. But now it moves on to that we can even provide housing and take care of the housing that people are currently in
Yeah.
so that they also have that sense of hope that people care.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what spurred our 3D build that we're looking at currently right now.
Yeah. So for people that aren't familiar with that, so think of a 3D printer where it extrudes, plastic. That's what I think of, and you make
Yeah.
a little toy or something like that. Is that how this works? It's like a giant 3D printer that squirts out concrete or some other material?
Absolutely.
How does it work? What does it
It's
look like?
absolutely crazy that somebody would take a small printer, like you said, that prints a toy, and now it's able to print a house.
Wow.
So yes, you actually mix the product on site. It looks just like that 3D machine that you're talking about,
Yeah.
but it's obviously so much bigger. It's hooked to the scaffolding, and basically the computer tells it where to print, and it literally I can't say that word.
Extrudes.
Extrudes. There you go. It extrudes
My
concrete.
brother is into 3D printing, and so I learned the
So
terminology.
it extrudes the concrete
Hmm.
in a pattern and just continues to go around. And what's amazing about it is that the first house that was allowed to be 3D printed in California is with Emergent 3D up in Reading.
Hmm.
And they can print a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in a week.
Really?
1 week to print a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So we actually partnered up with Emergent 3D, and we're looking to build an aging in place house because of our demographic here in Tuolumne County, and because of the need that we saw um, with the aging population and their houses and their struggles that they experience. We challenged Emergent 3D to come up with a concept that we want to do to build a aging in place home. What is so amazing about it is that it wasn't just, although yes, we have an architect who designed it, it was actually designed by Tuolumne County,
Hmm.
by the people who live here, by all the people that we've met through the home repair program, and all of our aging demographic here that we've talked to and said, what would make it easier for you? What would you dream of having in home that would make it easier for you to be more mobile? Would it make it easier for you to have feel better? What would help you? And of course, there's the basics, that we don't have any steps, the things that we have big enough doorways for people to get in. But there's also been some unique things that we didn't know until we went out into the community that are not standard if you look up just kind of standard accessible homes. One of them is outlets. It sounds funny, but
Oh, like power outlets
your
for
actual
yeah,
power outlet.
yeah.
So imagine this. Imagine if you had, for example, we have somebody who has MS, and imagine for her that she isn't able to vacuum.
Hmm.
And she can't vacuum because she can't plug her vacuum in. Every time she bends down, she gets really wobbly, and sometimes she falls over and she has to call the fire department to come help her get back up.
Hmm.
The only place that has cords that she can actually reach that's accessible would be in her kitchen and her bathroom
Hmm. Because they're up higher.
because they're up higher. And if she takes that cord, her vacuum won't reach the living room.
Right.
If she does an extension cord, now she has so much cord with her walker that she trips up and she has fallen as well.
Okay.
So can you imagine that it's not that she doesn't want a vacuum. She'd love a vacuumed home. She can't plug anything in. She can't even plug in a charger if she wanted to charge something. She cannot reach the outlets in her home.
Hmm.
So these are things where we've talked to people and I would have never thought, okay, well, we can build outlets that are low, but we can also put in outlets that are higher.
Mhm.
So these real life experiences have changed our perspective of what people need to age in place with dignity. And the cool thing about printing in 3D, and now remember, I'm a builder, is the fact that we can now print any shape that we want to. So if you look at our 3D homes, they're not square
Mhm.
on purpose.
I've seen that
Have you
the
seen?
because of the way that the 3D printer works, the wall the corners of the walls are rounded,
They
right?
are rounded.
Yeah.
And in
So
our
it's
aging in place house, we have a lot of curves that kind of it flows.
yeah.
And the reason why we did that is it's a very feng shui principle, right? So I always tell people, number one, if you have a coffee table, have you ever had a square coffee table in your house?
Yes.
What happens when you walk around it?
You hit the corner of it a lot,
All the
or
time.
you kick the leg,
You do, right? All the
and
time.
then you curse, and then
Absolutely. So what happens if people are trying to navigate square corners in their house,
you're gonna
especially if they have walkers or wheelchairs or equipment?
you're gonna trip over them, I guess.
They are.
Yeah.
They hit them, they become a hazard. So by actually being able to make curved walls,
Yeah.
we're helping them to avoid that. And then there's this whole crazy thing, studies that have been done that psychologically people's well-being, if you make rounded corners, then it actually helps them with their overall psychological and emotional well-being.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
I've heard that like shapes and colors have effects on our mood much more than we realize.
Absolutely. And I always think to myself, you hear about obviously jail cells, right? That
Yeah.
are a rectangle. I often
Rectangle, harsh,
you
cold.
do, they're cold,
Yeah.
you feel confined. When you're in a hospital room, you kind of
Kind of
feel the
same
same
thing, yeah.
way. You feel confined. You're like, oh my goodness. So now imagine if you can't get out very often because you have a disability and so you're not always able to get out when you want, and now you're stuck in the square box.
Yeah.
that's the same way that you begin to feel.
I see.
But if we create something that has tall windows that helps them to kind of look outside, or we create these curves, what we've done is we've actually given them a better sense of well-being. But I always tell people, it's not what everybody has to understand is prior to 3D building, to this type of technology, of course everything's a square because our product is a square.
Yeah.
2x4s are a square, plywood's a square.
Yeah.
So of course we're going to build in squares because that's our material. But with something as innovative as 3D construction, we can now move outside that box and create something for people's emotional and physical and psychological well-being, and really be able to encompass a whole house that covers everything.
Yeah. You think that's the future of building? It's going to be 3 built, like we're all going to live in 3D built houses
It's
in
very
10 years.
Jetsons, right?
Yeah. They are kind of like Jetson house
Definitely.
because they're rounded, and if
Yeah.
you put a dome on top of it, and
Yeah.
then it would look just like the Jetson house.
We're supposed to be in the Jetsons. Did you know it was supposed to be in 2020 was the Jetsons?
Really?
Yes.
Well, where's my flying car?
I don't know.
And why don't
I want the maid. I want the
and
robot that's
you,
the
you
maid.
need you need to build them on like a big tall pedestal.
We do. I don't think that one type of construction is going to solve all of the problems. I think we need all kinds of construction. We need conventional construction, which is stick build, framing, 3D construction. We need all construction in order to meet the housing crisis that we're experiencing.
So Trinity, you have an event coming up right now to as a fundraiser for Habitat. Is that correct?
We do. We have our annual event. It's going to be on May 18th, and we're having it. It's a speakeasy soiree.
Okay.
And so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be down at the Armory, and we're going to have great food. We actually have a comedian coming in, so we're going to have some great entertainment. And of course, it's just a great way to come out and support Habitat and raise funds for the community.
That's great. How can people get tickets or sign up for that?
They can go online to habitattuolumne.org, and right there's easy links for them to be able to go on and purchase tickets. Tickets are $85 a person. And again, like I said, all the funds go towards us being able to continue to help the community.
That's fantastic. Well, Trinity Abila, CEO of Habitat for Humanity, I've really learned a lot. Thank you so much for being here. Please come back anytime.
All right. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us. Please join us again next week. We're going to have another fascinating conversation about Tuolumne County. Take care.